Hello, everybody. This is Billy Sheehan, bass player from Buffalo, New York. You're listening to me right here on BackstageAxxess.com.
I'm Dee Haley, and I'm talking with bassist extraordinaire Billy Sheehan, currently with the Winery Dogs. Welcome to Backstage Access, and thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure very much.
Now, the Winery Dogs are on tour in support of the self-titled debut album, and you are planning on making a stop in your hometown of Buffalo, New York this summer. You've been in California for a while, so I'm wondering what it's like to come back and play for a Buffalo performance.
Always a great moment. I have so many friends back there still. I stay in touch with a lot. I don't get back there as much as I used to, visiting and such, but coming back this July at the 12th is going to be a great night. I've already heard from many people that are going to be there. I'm real excited about it. Most everything I have and know and learned on bass started all there in Buffalo, so it always means a lot to me to be able to play there.
Now, would you share with us your favorite Buffalo story?
Oh, gee, there's lots of them. I remember playing at Uncle Sam's, and at the time when they had the stage at one end, and at the other end was a bar with glass windows, so you could go back in the back bar, and it was kind of quiet. And Van Halen was in town, and they came out to our show, and they sat up there in the bar, and I could see Eddie and Dave sitting there with their hands on their chins watching me, watching us, the whole time. And it was no pressure, but it was just an amazing moment. But there's a long list. There's a couple books full of moments that were just priceless times and events and adventures, good times, bad times, more good than bad, of course, through the years. Maybe someday I'll sit down and start typing away and document them all.
That would be a great publication. I would be interested in it for certain. Now, they say you can put that on your list of things to do. As if you don't have enough, right?
My long list of things to do.
And now you're the person going in and observing bands and making them, feel just maybe a little bit of pressure when they play in front of you. Do you ever have that happen?
Well, I always try to encourage all of the musicians. As musicians, we're kind of all in this together in a lot of ways, and I think that's important. And no matter what, if it's something, type of music that is not my thing, I always try to encourage and inspire if I can in any way for people. I love that I can play music for a living, and my fellow musicians, we're all kind of in it together. And many times I do what I can to help other musicians, other bands along through the years. I've managed to help a couple of people get to where they wanted to get, and I'm very, very pleased about that.
Now, let's talk about your most recent work with the Winery Dogs. You and Mike and Richie are quite the power trio. It's evident by your album that the individual styles that you have really meshed into something amazing. And I have heard that Eddie Trunk's name has come up several times with regard to bringing the three of you together. Could you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, Eddie's been a good friend of all of ours for a long time, and a fan of all of our bands, myself, Mike, and Richie. And when Mike and I were looking for a singing guitarist, I don't know why I didn't think of it, because Richie's my buddy, and I see him all the time, and I jam with him often. And Eddie Trunk said, Richie Gossett. And wow, gee, I can't believe I didn't think of that. So we got together with Richie, and at Eddie's suggestion initially. And then he's also been a big supporter of the band. Has had us on the show as an entire band. I think we were the first time an entire band has been on his show, on that metal show. Been out to a bunch of our shows and announced us, coming on stage. We played for his anniversary party, and it's just been a great relationship with the guy. He supports a lot of bands and a lot of music, and we need more people like him. So we're forever grateful for his help to us. In the Winery Dogs, it certainly has been a big help.
Well, it's kind of neat. Sometimes you need that outside person to kind of push you in the direction that you need to go.
When we got together with the Winery Dogs, we really didn't talk about what type of music we were going to play. we didn't plan anything. We didn't sit down and have a meeting about our direction and what our thoughts were about this and that. We just got in the room, the little kid's drums, little guitar amp, little bass amp, myself, Mike, and Richie, and we just started playing. We really didn't discuss anything other than the Mexican food we just had down from our favorite place, Taquito Mas, close by Richie's house, and how much we liked it. And then we just went in and played, and that was the beginning of the whole record and the whole band. We just the fact that we could sit in a room and one guy would do one thing, the other guy would latch onto it. Next thing you know, we got a song, and everybody's happy with it, and we'd do another one. So that was that's our story to a large degree.
I think that's very cool, and I actually did have the pleasure of reviewing the Winery Dogs album when it was released last year, and I noticed that it is quite a blend. You've got rock, you've got soul, some metal, some blues, and it's all mixed with precision. It's been on various charts, rock charts, alternative charts, and it was also self-produced, so I was wondering what the production process was like.
Well, oftentimes a band will bring in a producer as like an extra voice, an extra kind of a person that can, tell you their advice about what they think about song arrangements and whatever, and how to put a record together. Myself, Richie, and I, and Mike have probably done how many records? Hundreds. You add it all up, the total of Mike, Richie, and myself, the records we've played on, worked with producers, some of the biggest, some of the brightest. And so I didn't really think we needed anyone to come in and explain any of that to us yet again, because we knew it all to a large degree. Anything I don't know, Richie does. Anything he doesn't know, Mike does, and it goes around the corner like that. So we just... We had a guy mix it, a guy named Jay Rustin, who sometimes you got to step away from a record and let someone else deal with it. But even at Jay's admission, he didn't do a real lot to it. He just kind of beefed it up, made it sound the way it's supposed to sound, and that was it. He didn't change much of anything. So I was glad about that, because I think in a way, when you self-produce, it really is your own personal artistic statement. Bringing a producer in makes it sometimes a producer can utterly overwhelm a band, and the record becomes a producer's record. I've seen that happen in instances. So this way, it's really the three of us and what we do and how we say it, sing it, play it. It's an honest representation of exactly where we're at. The spouse's idea of where they think we should be at.
Now, how long was the whole process from when you got together? Yeah?
Yeah, real quick. And that's another thing. If it goes fast, that's a good sign. If you're slugging through stuff and it's not quite working, you're redoing it, remixing it, recutting it, re-recording it, and changing a chorus and changing a verse and redoing the lyrics, not a good sign. Sometimes you may end up with something good, but for me, when something comes right out of the box and works, and you can just move on to the next thing, to me, that's a good sign. It was stuff that we automatically liked. We'd lay something down, go and listen, it's great, let's move on, cool, I like that. It instantly appealed to us. It was the type of music we all wanted to play, so we didn't, again, have to go back and redo a lot of stuff and refigure. I hate the idea of thinking and figuring and logicking out music, because music should just flow, should just happen, in my humble opinion. Not always, but in this case, I think that's what we're going for. So it was pretty quick. All the songs got written very fast. Recording was quick. I mean, songs that are 4 minutes long, how long should it take you to record it? Not more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I don't think it tops. Sometimes only 4.
Wow,
so
nice.
That's a good sign.
So the one take sounds great. It's very well produced. And what I'm wondering too, when you are, say, in the studio as opposed to live, do you use the same gear? Do you have specific studio stuff that you prefer to what you take on the road?
It's pretty much the same thing. Because I've always been a believer, even from back in the Chalice days, we would just take our gear that we play with in the clubs, set it up, put the mics in front, and record. That was use the same stuff. Whereas, because I think for me, live performance is everything. That's really music as a performance art. To me, is everything. As a recording art, it's a different thing. I don't particularly go for making the recording of music the art as opposed to performing it. So I don't change much. Myself, Richie, we don't change much when it goes to recording. Initially, recording was just meant to document what you were performing live.
Right.
Later on, it changed and evolved into using the studio as yet another tool to do things that you can't do live or don't do live. And that's a legitimate art. All art is legitimate, in my humble opinion. So that's cool, but it's just not the way I particularly like it to be. I preferred, when Don and Phil Everly from the Everly Brothers walked up to the mic with guitars and sang, and there it was. And then they pressed it to vinyl, and that was the record, as opposed to going to a long, involved, intellectualized process of recording and technical things. So we pretty much use exactly what we use live. Same instruments, same gear, same approach, and use microphones to grab it all to a recording medium. And again, for me, it's an accurate representation of what we're actually doing without a lot of studio trickery or fake, phony, baloney nonsense. Because you can now, with the technology, do just about anything you could imagine. So we're kind of back to old school. We're just playing, and the machines are just recording.
Which is very cool because you know what to expect then. You hear it and you go and you see it live, and the performance just adds that extra element, and you're still, hearing the same sound, and I think that that's a great way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I remember I have seen bands, very famous bands, I won't mention them, whose records I loved, but live they just could not do it. And it just was not working. And I still loved them, and I still love the record, but I had to admit I was disappointed. And the live element, when you have a band like the Winery Dogs, the live element is just, and it's an extra sweaty, hot excitement layered on top of what we're already doing. So when you come see us live, and I like that. That's most of my life. Mr. Big was very much like that. David Lee Roth and all the Talus years were very much like that. So I'm kind of sticking to the same formula here, I know. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. It's working. And as a Buffalo native myself, I remember my brothers introducing me to Talus music. And I remember singing Seesaw at the top of my lungs and driving the family crazy. So it's good stuff.
Great.
Now, you mentioned your live performances, and aside from the Winery Dogs self-titled album, I understand that there is a special edition that was released just in the spring, with the standard release as the first disc and the second disc recorded live in Japan. So what I was wondering on that was that recording done at one show? Or was it separate concerts in between you put it together?
One show, our second night, and we left the mistakes in. Just for honesty's sake, we were it was all brand new to us. We had never performed. We'd done one show, and then the next night the recording. Not a good idea generally, but we were under the gun time-wise. That was the only chance we had to do it. So we did. And at one point, I forgot what it was. Richie started one song, and Mike and I started something else, and we're looking at each other on stage till we finally figured out. Oh wait. Get it, but we let the mistake in. So it's certainly a reality show to listen to, and we don't mind. We make mistakes every single night, so it doesn't bother us so much. You kind of laugh it off, move on. But yeah, it was done one show, second show, and it's interesting for us to hear that now because everything has changed quite a bit from that time. Where every show, every night we evolve a little bit. No song is ever played the same way twice, ever. I mean, the basics of it are always there, same lyrics, same arrangement for the most part. But every night we have an improvisational aspect added to what we do. And it makes the song grow and evolve, and little parts come in, and enter into it that weren't there before, and that they kind of enhance what's going on. It keeps us alive. It keeps it alive and interesting for us as players. And the fact that there's always that unknown factor for the audience. And you can see something that will be different tomorrow night. It was different the night before. Those aspects make it interesting. So I'd love to record another night at the end of the tour, compare the two, and I'm sure you're going to see quite a lot of differences, between the live DVD audio and what we actually ended up with.
I think that would be neat, to do that at the end and then have a 3-disc package coming out. So everybody could kind of get a listen. Yeah.
You can cross-reference them all.
No.
Yeah, a lot of times in the beginning, Richie would be singing a part, and there was no harmony to it, and then Mike would drop one in, I'd add another one on there, and so parts that didn't have harmony before have it now, and little solo sections changed, little things that we do, Mike and I together, back and forth, bass and drums, but things between Richie and I, and stuff all adds and grows, and it's kind of, like I said before, the same formula that's happened through the years. I remember with Tallis, some of the stuff we would do later on would be a far cry from how it originally started out, because we'd be, in a club and, a little bit bored, playing it for the 50th time, so, we'd start to improvise a bit and make it exciting for each other, so same principle at play here.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a live show, I think, is when, you go, as a fan, you go and you hear something that's different that, you can't get anywhere else. I think that's a draw to go to see a live concert.
Yeah, ever since the first live records I heard as a kid of songs and from bands that I already knew. I remember the Rolling Stones got Live If You Want 'Em, the first live record with Brian Jones was still on guitar. And the songs were way different and faster and exciting, and people were screaming, and I thought, wow, Live is incredible. And then I remember hearing some Hendrix stuff live, which is way different than how he did it. When he played on Woodstock, a lot of stuff was, twice as fast and crazier soloing and stuff. So and I remember I had a bootleg of Robin Trower live way early on, like the first couple of records, and the solos extended and the emotion just hypercharged, and really interesting to see the difference between the album version and live and how it evolves.
Which is really neat that you have that together in this, package that you put out. And I have to bring that up again because it's the packaging actually is something unique. The limited edition deluxe package with the 2 discs is in a box that resembles dog treats. So I think that's pretty cool, for the Winery Dogs. And there's some videos and some interview footage. Who came up with the idea to do that packaging?
I think that was Mike. He's quite a adventurous when it comes to doing stuff for the fans. And all those other bands, he's always the guy doing the extra, the drum camera, DVD of recording the record, and just doing extra stuff, because there's some people that just want to hear the record and go see the show, and it's cool. But other people, I know I'm one of those. I get into it. I want to hear the demos. I want to hear my iTunes collection. I've got demos of Beatles, Hendrix, Genesis, all these bands, the original demo versions of songs that I later grew to love. Excuse me. And I love to hear that stuff. So Mike is like that too. He's a big collector of musical and artistic rarities in cinema and audio. So, we're kind of playing to ourselves in that way, because if we were on the outside looking in, we probably would want to have that. So, I'm glad he came up with all that.
The Winery Dogs have actually been on tour for a while. Has there been a particular highlight of the tour so far?
Yeah, a bunch. We played in France, in Paris, France, and the place is so crowded. You couldn't have put another person in there. You cut them in pieces and tried to stuff them. It was unbelievable. They went berserk. Italy was crazy. Germany, England. We played in Brazil. Our record had only been out for a day. And everybody in the audience was singing all the lyrics. And they were singing the solos as well. It's unbelievable. So the impact the record had right away was just incredible. We were so thankful and so pleased. So many people that gravitated towards it right away. And we played. We started in Japan, and then went to South America, and then to Europe, and then all across USA. Some of the places in the USA now we've played twice. The other night we played in Ramona, California, a little town outside of San Diego, and the place was jam-packed. And a lot of the people that came the last time brought all their friends, and so it's they seem very pleased about it. But yeah, we're having just great experiences on the road. It's a lot of fun.
And you're going to be gracing the stage at the Trelf in Buffalo, July 26th.
Yeah.
Any special
Great.
homecoming plans?
Unfortunately, it's a quick in and out. I get in that day, do the show, and we leave that night. But I've already arranged to have a lot of my friends there, and inviting a lot more down. And if you haven't gotten an invite from me personally, consider this one and come on down if you can. It's a great night. People will have a wonderful time, and also everybody gets to see everybody they haven't seen since the last talent show, at least. all the people that come out, so it'll be great. I'm going to invite everybody I can down to the show, and hopefully we'll have a great night and hang out a bit after.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the invitation. I am planning on being there. Is there anything else that you might like to share with the fans?
Well, just I missed Buffalo, and I hope to get back there for a visit as soon as possible. And hopefully we can do another talent show coming up here at some point. Everyone we've done has been so much fun. Hanging with Dave and Paul again is always a riot. And all of our friends from back in the day coming out, it's just an incredible thing. So hopefully we can do more in the future as much as possible. Those were amazing years with some amazing relationships with a lot of people. And myself, Dave, and Paul, we all cherish that very much.
Well, we will all be looking forward to that in Western New York. And a reminder that the Winery Dogs on tour, making a hometown stop at the Trelf in Buffalo, July 26th. Looking forward to seeing you at the show. And on behalf of Backstage Access, we'd like to thank you for taking the time today. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I'll look forward to seeing you in Buffalo at the Trelf.
I'm Dee Haley, and you've been listening to the legendary bassist Billy Sheehan of the Winery Dogs on BackstageAxxess.com.
Cool.